So what's behind this sudden rise in ghost ships?
All crew aboard were found dead, yet the ship was undamaged, and their bodies showed no signs of injury.
The loudest underwater sound ever recorded by humans has remained a mystery for over 2 decades.
It was one of the largest, hot-lived, and arguably most infamous cruise ship disasters since the Titanic.
I don't know about you, but I'm going to go straight into this. No story at the start.
Straight in, no kissing.
Straight in, no kissing. For the sheer fact is because this is absolutely terrifying.
This is my worst one.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. This is like a phobia mixed in with actual information that makes your skin crawl. The only way that I can kind of describe this is that feeling that you get whenever you're in ice cold water in the middle of nowhere, pure isolation.
Do not like.
And what is below you, because it is the unknown.
I'm already scared.
Are you feeling uncomfortable?
I really am.
You should be. So, this week on GhostWaves, brought to you by myself, Ryan.
And myself, Rachel.
We are going to be diving into, pardon the pun, the deep sea. This is ghost ships and deep sea mysteries, spanning back decades of the unknown, because this is kind of my prelude to this that I kind of want to say. So
okay.
Just, if you're watching, sit back and watch. And if you're listening, sit forward and listen, because this is going to get very uncomfortable. We live on a planet mostly plunged in the cold darkness. Most people know that 2/3 of the Earth's surface is covered with water. But have you ever stopped to think about how most of that area lies in the deep dark? No sunlight, nothing to penetrate the cold and gloomy waters below. The fact that the majority of the planet lies in cold, eternal night. A practically unexplored and alien world below.
Cue spooky music.
Right? I feel like as if we should have some spooky music here if you want.
Editor, make a note. Put that in.
Editor, could you just make this very scary, please? Yes, for everybody listening.
That'll be you then.
I kind of broke character there, but yeah, so like kind of what we're going into this week, as I said, is ghost ships, deep sea kind of adventures. I'm kind of pumped for this, man, because I just kind of get like a high from scaring the absolute shit out of you.
Here's a question.
Go on.
Why is it called Earth and not ocean? If it's mainly ocean and not Earth.
That's a good point.
Shower thoughts, am I right?
It is definitely shower thoughts. It's kind of something that whenever you're like, you know, you've taken a minute too long sitting down on the toilet, you're kind of like, whoa.
Planet Ocean, am I right?
Stoner thoughts, man. Yeah. Just taking a massive rip afterwards. Whoa.
No,
dude.
but I am someone that has thalassophobia, which is fear of open water.
Yeah.
I've had that since I was a kid. Can't watch any videos of, you know, those like awful videos of people diving.
Yeah.
Where like it has like a GoPro or whatever just above the surface of the water and then it dips under. That makes me want to be violently ill.
Serious?
It's awful. I hate it. I know there's I think, just a little plug for you here, I think in your Twitch chat, not that long ago, someone was talking about having submechanophobia as well.
Right, okay.
Which is the fear of like large object, like a boat or a plane or something, like some industrial object submerged under the sea. So like shipwrecks or whatever.
Right, okay.
That's fine for me, but just deep sea is horrifying. So personally, for me, this is the scariest episode yet.
So if we go for, I'm just going to kind of get your scale of fear here, which is quite cruel, but I'm going to ask. So we're going to start off small. A bath.
Bath, fine.
A swimming pool.
Don't really like, but can do. It's because I can't have my face underwater. Right. Like even in the shower.
Yeah. I
have my head like tilted back.
Yeah.
I can't stand with my face in the water ever.
Have you ever been to a water park?
No, never a water park.
Would you ever go into
No.
one? No?
No, I would not.
It's like as if I've just asked you to like run your feet over hot coals.
What's something you don't like? I'm trying to get like
I don't know.
an example back here.
Work?
That's like me saying, do you want to go to work?
No, I don't like for like me with fears, and I don't want to sound like a brooding, alpha male kind of like ain't no shit scared me type thing. But I don't really think that I have, well, maybe claustrophobia, but like extreme claustrophobia.
No,
Like
you're fine. You get into lifts and stuff.
Yeah, I don't mind tight spaces, but I mean like if I was ever buried alive, I think that
Well,
would,
I think that's a fear for everyone, really. It's not something anyone would enjoy.
something that you're in a very enclosed space and you can't move your arms.
Okay.
Like whenever I was really young, my brother used to like play around with me, and he used to like get on top of me and put his knees on top of my arms. So I couldn't move my arms, and it would almost feel like as if I'm like
Yeah, you start to panic.
suffocating. Yeah. So it's like a mini panic attack that was brought on by that. So something like that, maybe.
But it's interesting because I love the sea. Like, I love being at the beach,
Yeah.
like at the seaside.
Yeah.
It's just the thought of being out in the water I don't like at all.
Right.
It's like the type of water that you can't see below you. As long as I'm just like standing, like I can go into the sea as long as my feet are on the ground.
Yeah.
But if I was to swim out, I think I'd start to panic. I've never done it, but I don't think I'd like it.
I would like to like, this is kind of like, I guess the cruel part, but I would love to test you to your
Just
limits.
throw me off a boat.
No, not like, well, sometimes I wish I could, but no, like fear factor.
I can't swim.
Take a dinghy. Yeah, but like fear factor type stuff. Do you know what I mean? Just kind of like see if you could overcome in that situation. But
Well, my problem is I can't really swim. Like I can kind of swim.
yeah, like doggy paddle.
Well, again, I can't put my face in the water. So even when I'm doing like whatever the overarm stroke is called,
Breaststroke, I think.
that's what she said.
Cue Pornhub music. What?
Yeah, even when I'm doing that, I have to like keep my head up out of the water.
Like a bubble,
So
yeah.
I don't swim well.
Yeah.
And I haven't been in enough water to build up like strength or stamina or anything for swimming.
Right, okay.
So I probably would drown if you like chucked me off a boat. But that's just me. Like that's my fear anyway.
Yeah.
But I guess the stories we have now, even if you're not scared of the ocean at the minute,
Yeah.
you will be.
That is very true.
Am I right?
Going into our 4th episode on GhostWaves, I think it's about time that we go into something that really is a genuine fear for people, and how the unexplored is not only for the paranormal, but it is for the ocean, the biggest part of the world itself. The stories that we have today, I guess, will leave you questioning what is actually out there in the unexplored, and what does the deep, dark ocean really hold.
Big question.
Was that too intense?
I think I'm just on edge.
Cool. Right. Well then, at least we're doing it successful. So my specific kind of stories, I guess, revolve around, I'm going to be taking the side of the ghost ships.
Okay.
I've got a couple of stories of ghost ships. We're not going to like hound down too many. If you guys do want a part 2 to this, definitely do let us know. But I've got 2 stories for mysterious disappearances of not only ships, but crew, and the mystery of what happened to them. And then I believe that you have some other mysteries that need uncovered.
I do. I'm getting big Bermuda Triangle vibes off yours.
Well, the whole Bermuda Triangle thing, I think that we're going to cover on a Patreon episode.
Oh, that's a bonus.
That's the bonus.
Well, guys, if you want to hear the bonus episode,
I feel like as if we're getting like more like shady.
you know what you gotta do.
We're getting more shady with the Patreon plugs.
I'm like leaning into the microphone and I'm like, guys,
Yeah, psst, come here. You want to hear some Patreon shit? But yeah, so I'm gonna go straight into this. Do you want to take the lead, or do you want me to take the lead?
Let's hear your ghost ships. I don't think I know yours, so let's hear them.
Okay. To give people a background of what an actual ghost ship is, for people who think that ghost ships are ships that are, inhabited by ghosts, or if you've watched, the new Ghostbusters movie,
Pirates of the Caribbean,
that kind of thing. People usually misinterpret what a ghost ship is because they assume that it is a ship that is an actual paranormal entity, and then all the people on that ship are ghosts or ghouls or
That's kind of what I thought.
Right. It's originally what I thought as well.
Mm-hmm.
There was a movie back in 2000. I think it was 2000 on the button. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong there. Which was actually called Ghost Ship.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what first got me thinking that a ghost ship was more than just a haunted vessel. It is an actual empty ship.
Okay.
It's a ship that has completely got rid of all its crew by some mysterious circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
Something has happened along the line. Everyone has kind of went missing, or something bizarre has happened on the ship. So this leads me to my first story, which is the SS Orang Medan. The ship was one of the most notorious ghost ship stories, for what I read. There's a load of ones, I guess, like the Flying Dutchman.
Yeah.
And there's another one as well. I think it's called the Celeste, maybe?
Mary Celeste, is it?
Yes,
Is that right?
Mary Celeste, yeah. Is it Mary Celeste?
No, I'm doubting. But yes, I know those two.
Yeah, so they're kind of like the more famous ones. If you guys don't know about those, we can go into those as well at a later stage. However, I kind of want to pick ones that are quite strange and lesser known for people who are kind of savvy in this area, I guess. But this SS Orang was a cargo ship that was setting sail off the coast of Indonesia in 1947. The strange thing that kind of like made this ship first kind of make the hairs on the back of my neck stand up was the fact that nobody knew that this ship was in any difficulty. They didn't know that it was in any stress until there was a distress call that was put through to the local Coast Guard.
Okay.
Now, back then, they used, it was almost like radio waves, and they had Morse code as well, if anything, or if the communications were cut. But they had a message come through saying, all officers, including captain, are dead, lying in chart room and bridge.
Oh my God, what the hell?
Possibly whole crew dead.
Who sent the message?
Nobody knows who sent the message. But the strange thing about this is afterwards, that whenever the distress call kind of came in, there were people who kind of embarked on a rescue mission for this ship. And this gives me goosebumps. I'm getting goosebumps right now. But whenever one of the crew members put through the message, they don't know which specific crew member, there was another message that was followed by that approximately 20 minutes later. And the two words that the crewmate said, I die.
I die.
I die.
Scary goosebumps.
So the rescuers found the ship.
As if he had time to send that in Morse code.
Right? What if this was like normal day and he just ended it with, what about you? WBU?
He's just like super dramatic. He's like, oh my God, today I die. Like,
This job is so hard, I die.
Swabbing the deck sucks, I die.
You could possibly change that with just like a simple LOL at the end of it. I die, LOL. Everyone's dead. Anyway, so
Terrible.
yeah. So the rescuers kind of found the ship, and this is kind of where this gets a bit strange for me.
It's already a bit strange, but yeah, continue.
Yeah, well, the nature of this is obviously a ghost ship. So if I explained it right, I guess, you will kind of grasp what the circumstance is going to be here. But the rescuers found the ship absolutely unharmed. It wasn't like penetrated by anything. It wasn't particularly damaged by the sea or a rock or an iceberg or whatever else it could have been.
So they hadn't run into trouble like that.
Yeah, there was no trouble at all. So whenever they boarded the ship, to their horror, the crew members were indeed all dead. Every single one of them. However, their bodies were like contorted and their arms were like outstretched as if they were fending off an attacker. And the weird thing is that their faces were like absolutely terrified.
Wow.
Like as if they have seen something come in to attack them.
Yeah.
And it was strange because there was no signs of injury on each of the crew members.
So what was the cause of death? Do we know?
So this is quite unfortunate for this story. The engine room caught fire and the ship had an explosion, a small explosion, in time for the rescuers to get off the ship. However, the engine room malfunctioned and the ship sank.
Oh, so before they could like recover anyone or gather any evidence?
Before anything was able to be kind of,
How bizarre.
used for evidence, the whole thing sank. And the mystery went down with the ship, some would say.
So I guess it's still below. They never recovered the ship.
I was reading a report here saying that the ship had to be abandoned and eventually sank, taking its ghastly secret and any chance of an autopsy investigation to Davy Jones' locker. Whoever wrote this article.
I love that.
Brilliant. But
Yeah.
it's from Boat International, this article.
Kudos to them.
Yeah, so it was kind of strange because later reports kind of contradicted the supernatural tale. But, you know,
My first thought is pirates. Like, not like swashbuckling me hearties, but like actual pirates that like would come and try and take take the boat or supplies or whatever.
yeah, like proper ship pirates. Like
Yeah.
Captain, what do you call that one? Captain Phillips. I'm the captain now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just coming to like pillage their supplies basically and just kill whoever's there. But like you said, the contorted bodies is odd, especially like you said, there's no visible signs of injury on them.
Yeah.
And then I guess could be coincidence, but the way that the ship went down without a chance to ever recover the bodies.
Could be fabricated, you think? Or
Well, I mean, it could just be a coincidence, but also it could be something like either foul play, like it was timed to do that, or there is some awful sea demon that we have yet to discover.
well, I don't know. I think about John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like the same vibes, like people having a distress call, people come to rescue, everything's all fucked up, and then the whole thing explodes. Very strange, but
Very strange.
I think that it's kind of like it was one of those stories that definitely gave me proper goosebumps, made the hair on the back of my neck, there is a lot of it, stand up. It was absolutely crazy. But I think I will pass the torch over to you for the next one.
Well, this works out rather nicely. Speaking of the thing,
Right.
or some unknown entity in the ocean,
Yes.
I'm going to talk about the Bloop.
The Bloop?
The Bloop.
I love how, like, it's just the way you said that. It sounds like, you know, whenever you just, like, drop something down, like, a really
Bloop.
small, yeah, do you know what I mean? Bloop.
Way scarier than it actually sounds.
Yeah.
Have you heard of this?
I've heard of it. I don't know much on it, so I'm kind of excited about this because I know enough to know that it is creepy as hell.
Okay, well, to start off, for those who haven't heard of this or don't know what we're talking about, we'll pause and we'll put a little audio clip of the Bloop in now. It's pretty eerie. I don't really like those like radar noises, like
No.
deep sea kind of unknown. I don't really know. I don't like it.
It reminds me of like being in space. Not that I've ever been in space. I mean, like
It reminds me of being in space. Sorry, I've been really sassy. Yes, so I'll tell you how they got to discover this noise.
Okay.
So in the summer of 1997, the US National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, as we'll call them for short.
Ooh, dark vibes?
Yeah. Ooh, I do, yeah. Off topic, but if you haven't seen Dark, please watch it.
It's incredible.
In German, not dubbed.
Yeah.
So good. Maybe my best series ever.
I think it's probably one of my, best series. It is like soundtrack, amazing, cinematography, amazing, storyline, incredible.
Casting.
Perfect.
Yeah, off topic, but yeah, watch it. So NOAA discovered an unusual undersea sound.
Right.
They had set up like hydrophonic listening stations in the Pacific Ocean
Okay.
for the purpose of monitoring deep sea phenomena. So they were trying to learn about the bottom of the ocean.
Right.
Because still to today, even in 2021, with all our modern technology, we still don't know much about what's in the ocean, which is just mind-blowing. We know more about space than we know about the ocean.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how people can literally go to another planet, but people still cannot go underwater
Yeah.
to the bottom.
It's baffling, really, but it's... Anyway, so that's what they were doing. They're trying to figure out what was at the bottom of the ocean. And the sound they picked up was an ultra-low frequency that was extremely loud. It was actually picked up on several stations nearby.
Okay.
Like up to like 5,000 kilometers apart, I think. So this was a large sound.
Right.
And it didn't exhibit any characteristics of anything that they had come across before.
Yeah.
So they couldn't instantly, they were like, what the hell is this? And yeah, it just became known as the Bloop because they still, to this day, they don't really know what it was that caused it.
Yeah. Who had the job of naming this? I'm going to call this the Bloop.
I like to think it was just like a group of them, like at the pub one night, being like, what do you call that thing? Like, oh, the bloopy thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Bloop demonstrated some unique qualities such as rapid variations in frequency and an organic sound. That was what sparked the theory that it was from some sort of living marine creature.
Right, okay.
Just because of, obviously I'm not a scientist, I don't know, but the vibrations, the frequencies, whatever, it was similar to that of an actual animal rather than like, one theory is that it's like sea icebergs scraping along the bottom of the floor.
Oh, okay.
And that's what caused it, but that has been debunked by a lot of scientists actually.
Right, okay.
Who are convinced that it's some sort of living creature.
I'm kind of thinking of a whale whenever you say this, like a really big whale.
Yeah, so a lot of people thought must just be a big ass whale.
Yeah.
Because that's the biggest thing that we know in the ocean. The trouble is the sheer volume of the noise that had been flung to these like stations thousands of kilometers away. It would have to come from something far larger and far louder than any whale we know of, which then got them to thinking, we don't really know anything bigger than a whale.
Yeah.
What the hell is it down there? So it's still speculated upon today. Like the most generic explanation is that it's from, I think it's called like a sea quake or something like that. It's like where sea glaciers from like way deep down break apart and like crash into each other.
Right, okay.
But a lot of scientists dispute that because the sound has similarities to something that like an organic creature produces, so like a living thing. And interestingly, H.P. Lovecraft's Cthulhu.
Yeah?
I'm sure you've heard of that.
Oh, yeah.
The origin of the sound is actually, I think, like less than 2,000 kilometers away from Cthulhu's supposed origin point.
No way.
I think it's a place called Ryle. Pronunciation probably way off. But yeah, according to Lovecraft, this is where Cthulhu was imprisoned. So who knows?
Lovecraft may have knew more than they let on.
Who knows? There could be a big ass monster down there.
I'm just thinking of like Davy Jones from Pirates of the Caribbean. Mm-hmm. Just like a little like snake Rory man.
Never mind that. Think of the Kraken. Like when they release the Kraken and it comes up.
No.
More like that.
Yeah. Terrifying. Mm-hmm. Because like the size of a whale, like just to kind of like break this down a wee bit and give it a bit of like reality check for people who have not really kind of grasped what we're talking about. Whales are fucking huge.
Whales are pretty big. Yeah.
They are huge. So if they can make a noise that people can kind of, I guess, get on sonar radars or whatever else, and then if you multiply that by like a fucking million and then stick it somewhere very, very low where it's completely unexplored.
Well, just as a little reference point, this is something that I think about a lot and it gives me proper terror. So you've heard of the Marianas Trench?
Yes.
So it is, I believe, 7 miles to the bottom. And the pictures, you can put a picture up because it's horrible. It's like if you look from an aerial point of view.
Yeah, it looks
It's
terrifying.
like normal blue ocean and then suddenly this black void.
Yeah.
But even pictures, there's a picture that I saw on Reddit a few years ago and it properly like stuck in my head and I haven't been able to find it to this day, but it's people like doing like scuba diving
Right, okay.
along a coral reef that leads up to the Marianas Trench.
Oh, I've seen this.
And it's like people just looking at like, it's all vibrant and like a little coral and fishes and all beautiful and pretty. And then it just shows over the edge
Yeah.
and it's just an abyss. And it shows like people at various levels like going deep down into it and they just become smaller and smaller and going into this black hole.
Yeah.
I hate it. But yeah, just for a reference point, if you put Mount Everest
Yeah.
at the bottom of the ocean in the Marianas Trench,
Yeah.
its peak would still be 7,000 feet below sea level.
Fuck.
That's how deep down this goes. So there's no wonder we don't know what's down there. Like the pressure, we can never get anything.
You would be crushed by the pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the minute, we don't have really the technology to go down that far.
Yeah. I think like what's the deepest they've went down? There was a documentary with David Attenborough, I think, whenever they went down to the deep sea.
I've seen a few.
Yeah.
They
There
go
was
in those little, there's a name for them, those little pods.
It was they went in the pod, but it was basically to get like bioluminescent
Yeah.
fish. And
Yeah.
then I can't remember how low they've went down, but we're talking like hundreds upon thousands of like feet below where they were at, which is crazy. Like the kind of level of the ocean, if you kind of measure it like that, is extremely. It's not even like it's not terrifying to me because I'm kind of like I don't really have a fear or a phobia of it. It's more
Yeah.
like curiosity for
It's
me.
just like cool to you.
Yeah, it's cool because I don't know, man. Like if you were given the supernatural ability of being like, I don't know, invincible or immortal, it's probably the first thing I would do.
Dive down.
Just dive down to the bottom of the ocean, kind of see what's up.
You couldn't see anything though.
Well, then
So
that would be
dark.
superpower part 2, seeing in the ocean. You know? Basically, I would be Aquaman is kind of what I'm talking.
Fair.
You know, but going from that, the bloop, I guess, and swinging it back round to another ghost ship story. I kind of want to break this up. I guess we kind of agreed to break this up from what is strange in the ocean from your part to ghost stories and ghost ship
Just give
stories.
me like a minute to decompress here.
Yeah, that's basically it. Because I guess if we keep going on your topics, you're gonna break into.
I'm going to spiral and I'm going to start ranting and it won't be a very good podcast to listen to.
There's
So
aliens in the bottom of the ocean.
don't get me started.
I'm not getting you started. Anyway, the next story that I have, the ghost ship story, is called the Kaz 2.
Okay.
This is unlike any of the ghost ship stories that I've read for the sheer fact is that this has happened in recent years.
Okay.
Now, whenever I say recent years, I don't mean the last couple of years. I mean the last decade and a bit. So this was 2007.
Yeah. Recent. Yeah.
The origin of this story is from Australia. So the Kaz-2 was kind of like a ship that was manned by like 3 sailors. These guys were not experienced sailors by any sense of the means. They weren't really kind of like veterans whenever it comes to, ships as a career. So these guys were just kind of, I guess, common sailors.
Amateur sailors, I guess.
This boat was found off the Great Barrier Reef in Australia, and it was a 9.75 meter yacht. So
that's interesting because for some reason, whenever you say ghost ships, my brain instantly goes to like
vessels, like massive,
like a big old-fashioned
industrial container type ship.
Not even. I think of like literally like Pirates of the Caribbean ships,
right?
With like sails and wood and everything, and cannons at the side.
Well, as I said, and just kind of reiterating, so the ghost ship is like almost like an abandoned or a mysterious ship. So it's not like an old school 1600s
It's just where my
style.
brain goes.
But that's where I thought as well, and I still kind of think that until I read stories, and I'm like, oh yeah, it could be like happening. It could happen this year. It could happen, at any stage. But this small yacht was seen drifting by a helicopter, and it was April the 18th in 2007, and it was a few days after it had set off from the Airlie Beach in Queen's Island. So it didn't particularly get very far. However, what happened in that short period of time still tends to be an absolute mystery. So when it was boarded on April the 20th, the maritime authorities found everything normal, but there was no crew. So nobody knew where the crew went to. Yachts,
3 of them?
Yeah, 3 of them. Yachts don't particularly have like a massive life raft or anything like that. It wouldn't be anything attached to it like the bigger ships. So how they got off the ship or how they exited the vessel to kind of make a break for it as such in the event of emergency would have been only by swimming.
Yeah.
So going from that point, it kind of leaves you to think that the ship in itself, if there was kind of a crisis, that it would be very evident to somebody boarding the ship. However, food was left on the table, still opened, still fresh. A laptop was on and the engine was running. So it was almost like as if
like, in the
disappeared.
middle of whatever they were doing, they had to just leave or something happened,
Or just disappeared, So the only indication of something out of the ordinary was a small rip in the sail, which wouldn't have caused any crisis at all.
I guess that could have happened anyway.
There was no reports of bad weather. There was no reports of anything that kind of would have, I guess, distressed the crew or the boat at the time. Like no storms or anything like that, as I said. So the conspiracy theories obviously started rolling in about this. They stated that they were inexperienced sailors and they were in their 50s or 60s, what we've said before. So they
were older.
Yeah, they were older gentlemen, but apparently they were like lads.
Yeah.
Guys. So, beers and kind of yacht.
Going out for a laugh.
Adventures, yeah. So people assumed that it must have been pirates. However, in that particular area, there was no record on the Coast Guard's sonar, radar, or whatever, of any other foreign vessels that were there. So it kind of ruled out pirates. They stated that it was insurance fraud for a conspiracy theory, saying that they tried to fake their own death so their family could claim their life insurance. However, whenever the family found out that they were missing or whatever else, the genuine shock and disbelief of it was very hard to sell. The fact that it was a fake story.
Yeah.
And then the last one, which is, I guess, why we're covering this in this podcast, is Paranormal Activity.
Ooh. So you maybe are going to get to this, but were they ever found?
They were never found. The bodies till this day are completely missing.
Wow.
Yeah. So how 3 elderly, I guess, or older gentlemen could just...
No shade to any 6-year-olds listen to this, like, not elderly.
You're still young at heart, especially if you go on a yacht. Yo, I would love to be on a yacht. In
My brain has now jumped to the previous episode. I'm like, did their shoes wash up though?
Well, like just like fucking loafers, man, hopping up. But yeah, so they've never been found, and how they just completely disappeared, almost like in thin air, and left everything as it was, is just bizarre.
Yeah.
I think. So yeah, it kind of almost reminds me of this one other story, which I'm just gonna touch on slightly. This is like, it was a boat called the High Aim 6. It was like a Japanese kind of boat. Weirdly enough, still in the 2000s. And it actually left a port in Taiwan on Halloween, which is kind of cool. But the boat was a massive boat, and it was found abandoned in the Timor Sea within an 80 nautical mile range of Australia's Rowley Shoals.
Okay.
I'm not really too sure what that means, but the link between Australia...
Same sea.
Same sea.
Is it? I guess.
I think it might be. I'm not too sure with
Showing
the
our
geography.
terrible geography knowledge here.
Right? Do you know what I mean? I'm like, wait, they're both Australia. Coincidence? It was strange because it was discovered unmanned also. And the vessel was found with its engines fully fueled and running, all the crew's personal belongings and provisions on board, and there was also no apparent signs of struggle or damage above or below the deck. So an entire crew just gone.
Abandoned.
Just gone.
So no bodies even.
Yeah, nothing at all. The similarities between the actual High Aim 6 and this Kaz 2, it's kind of a bit bizarre how a boat can just completely, I guess, swallow up its crew. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I was reading, there's a few Reddit threads on people that are former sailors, and something that has cropped up a few times is something called the Call of the Void.
Okay.
Have you heard of this?
No?
So apparently this is like a phenomenon that like a lot of people get, not just when looking at the sea, but like when you're like on a high building or something. But this Call of the Void is basically like the sailors looking at the sea, and it becomes hypnotic, and they have an overwhelming urge just to jump in, but it's not like necessarily like suicidal or anything like that. Apparently they feel very calm.
So it's like hypnosis almost?
So sort of. It's just and I have looked up the psychology behind it. Apparently it's like your brain's way of checking. It's like, do you ever like, it's almost like an unwanted thought, like an intrusive thought. If you're driving in traffic and you're like, what if I was just to like steer into the other lane? But you would never do it, but your brain just like goes there.
Yeah.
Apparently this is something similar. It's like your brain's way of checking. It's just like a little, you good, man? And it's, your brain will then catch itself and say, nope, not doing that, survival instinct. So apparently that's the psychology behind it.
Right, okay.
But yeah, there is, I don't know if you could maybe look at it deeper and say that there is maybe some like deeper energy or something with these sailors, that they have this calm feeling of wanting to be pulled in and just sink into the ocean.
Yeah.
It's almost like, I guess, thinking back to the sirens singing and luring sailors into the ocean.
Yeah.
It's maybe where that came from.
Like if that was the case and they were like lured into the ocean by
Something.
this,
Yeah.
I think it's quite odd how a whole crew or like 3 people kind of getting like,
I was thinking, 3 people maybe,
yeah.
but a whole crew, like 20 plus people, no way. There's something else has happened.
I think what gives me the chills the most is the fact that the whole thing is left as it was, minus the crew, like the integral part of it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like the engine running.
That's the creepy thing. Like it's the fact that everything is left as is. That's the creepy part. Like it's just as if they were snatched away in the middle of the day or whatever they were doing. Like nothing was planned.
Yeah, I got goosebumps.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
odd.
It's, yeah, like just kind of once again hitting home, I guess, with it. It's like we've heard of a lot of like missing stories of people, and we've heard of a lot of like missing planes and vehicles and whatever else. But if you think about the ocean and how the ship is still there, but the people are not, how can that just happen?
How can that many people go missing?
Yeah, and
And
not a
never-
scratch left.
Yeah, not a trace. Never
Yeah.
be found.
Yeah. Oh,
Cthulhu.
is that your theory?
Has to be.
Really? Mermaids for me.
Yeah, mermaids give me like an uneasy kind of vibe. You haven't seen The Lighthouse with Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe?
No, but I've heard some very strange.
Once again, feeding into my fear of the ocean and everything related. If you haven't seen it, I don't even know if I'd recommend it. I really wouldn't. It's a very surreal movie. Very
Yeah.
you have to be in the right headspace to watch it. But yeah, there's a mermaid in that, and she's not Ariel. Let's say that.
Should we start recommending movies that we hate? To be fair? Hi, welcome back once again to the
Just off topic, actually, if we're gonna do that, The Sound of Metal.
Oh,
Let us know in the comments if you like that or not, because it's very divisive, I think.
yeah.
We weren't really fans.
No, we watched it recently, and obviously this isn't a movie review channel by any way, but it's good to kind of include.
We do watch a lot of movies. We like movies.
We do like movies. We watched it yesterday, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. We watched it yesterday, had really high expectations for it, and it was kind of pants.
It fell flat.
Yeah, it did. Maybe we were just not feeling it. Do you know what I mean? But
No, I had a good in-depth discussion with my friend about it this morning, and she was really like on the side of it being a good movie, and the more I talked about it, the more I got mad at it. So
yeah,
I didn't. Yeah, let us know what you think.
yeah, it's frustrating. It's a frustrating movie. It's one of those things. But anyway,
But back on topic.
back on topic. Let's get back to it.
I just have a fun fact
Okay.
that I found while doing my research. You've heard of the term the doldrums?
I've not.
Okay. Going off topic again. You might not have seen this. The Phantom Tollbooth, which is a trippy ass movie from like either late 60s, early 70s. Mm-hmm. I used to watch it at my grandparents' house on like VHS.
Okay.
The doldrums is like a term for like when you're down in the dumps, like stuck in the doldrums.
Right, okay.
But there was a scene in the movie where the doldrums was like a swamp, and the girl was trying to get through it, or the guy, and they were like pulling at his ankle, like these little like swampy mud things, just
no.
like trying to pull him in, and then he couldn't get out.
Okay.
But that's all I thought it was. I thought the doldrums was just like sadness.
Yeah.
It turns out it's a nautical term for the belt around the earth near the equator where sailing ships sometimes get stuck on windless waters.
Oh.
And apparently this happened a lot like before
Engines
ships
and
were
stuff?
powered. Yeah, when it
Right.
was just sailboats.
Yeah.
It's because of the low pressure at that area. So there's no wind, no waves.
Yeah.
And I read again on Reddit, I read a thread of a guy, like a modern day sailor. So obviously going through on a, like, I don't know how they power ships.
Turbines?
I just think of like a little dude shoveling coal in like under deck. Yeah, whatever. A powered ship anyway. And he said they like went from like a normal like choppy sea and just suddenly came out in this completely flat ocean that was deadly silent, no wave, no wind, just like glass.
That's
Apparently it was
scary in
very
itself.
surreal. Yeah, that is
Yeah.
terrifying. But yes, that's the doldrums, just a little fun fact. Going back to more terrifying ocean things.
I love how you like educate and then you like terrify.
I'm spiraling again. It's fine. Yeah. So you were saying at the start, like most of the world or most of the ocean, I guess, is completely dark.
Yes.
Like there's no sunlight.
Yeah.
Gets to it at all. There's only like the top part. I think it's about 600 feet down. That's as far as the sun can penetrate.
Okay.
And everything below that is just cold, icy darkness. And obviously the deeper you go, the darker it gets.
Yeah. Terrifying.
It's known as the twilight or dysphotic zone.
Okay.
That then goes into the midnight zone or the aphotic zone. There's also a section called the Abyss. If you look up on, I think if you search like Marianas Trench graph, it'll show you like the breakdown of the different sections of the ocean of how many feet down it is.
Okay.
So yeah, there's a lot down there. You were mentioning about bioluminescent fish.
Yes.
So they're fish that can produce their own light.
Yeah.
Because obviously there is no sunlight. Super interesting, like to look up if you haven't seen them.
Bioluminescent?
Just like deep sea fish. Yeah, there's some that looks like Christmas trees.
Yeah, man, there's some that look like really cute and kind of like you just want them for your own aquarium. And then there's other ones that make, I don't know, man, like piranhas look like fucking cheerleaders, dude.
A lot of weird, unknown, scary looking fish down there. One in particular that terrifies me. Even to look at a picture of it, we'll put it up on the screen. It looks like an alien. It's the only way.
It looks like the alien, as in fucking xenomorph, man.
Yeah.
I seen this, you know what, before you get into this, I seen this first on a fucking TikTok at 9 a.m. Whenever you woke me up, you were like, yo, I got this cool fucking, like, you know how like people wake you up and they're like, oh, look, it's a puppy video. You're like, yo, do you want to see something that'll make you shit your pants? And then you showed me this and fucking, I can't get it out of my head, man.
I usually wake up before you and I find these things and I just need to get them out of my brain. I need to put them into your brain instead.
Yeah, by transferring them over to me. Yeah, but continue.
So yeah, this creature, we'll call it,
Yep.
was captured off the Gulf of Mexico by it was like a camera on an oil rig
Yeah.
way deep down in the ocean. It's called the Big Fin Squid. And for those just listening, I don't really know how to describe it. Its head, like you said, literally looks like alien.
Yeah.
It has the same face.
Yeah.
I don't know how squids have faces, but this one does.
Yeah. It's like the features for like for anybody who is specifically listening to this, I think the only way that this can be described is that the features on the face are almost human-like and alien-like at the same time. Mm-hmm. It's very confusing to look at to try and decipher as an actual sea creature.
Yeah.
Correct in saying?
Yeah, oh yeah. If you saw this in a horror movie, you would have no trouble believing it's a fictional monster.
Yeah. It looks fucking ripped as well, dude.
Well, despite having a head and a face, its tentacles are not like a normal squid's tentacles. They're not like little chunky suckery things.
Yeah.
These are spindly, like think of spider legs.
Yeah.
Long, thin, 26 feet long is what they're reported to be.
Oh, God, I'm getting flashbacks, man, of the fucking video. Yeah.
26 feet long. I don't even... Like, think of like a normal 6-foot human.
Yeah.
Loads of those.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy.
Like, I don't know if anyone's ever seen the 90s remake of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but whenever the actual, like, alien from Invasion of the Body Snatchers would, like, kind of, I guess, replicate someone's DNA, it comes out, like, almost like spaghetti strands.
Yeah.
And goes into the person's skin. So if you can kind of picture that flopping around like a weird fish out of water, it's almost like, how long? 26 feet?
26 feet.
26 feet of spaghetti. Thick ass, fucking linguine looking spaghetti. It is, it's too much.
Forbidden spaghetti, do not eat.
Forbidden spagooter.
Interestingly, nice link. That's actually how it uses, that's actually what it uses to hunt.
Oh, okay.
So they believe that they trail their appendages, for want of a better word, along the sea floor.
Oh, God. Cringe.
In the hope that like a fish or some creature gets caught in them.
Yeah.
And it'll then snap it up and eat it. But I think it's, the fact was like their tentacles go out 20 times longer than their actual body.
Right.
and a lot of the time they're in like tea stands. So they're just weird looking things, like trailing everywhere. The most terrifying thing is that they've never actually seen a fully grown one. Everything that we've seen to date of these creatures has been juvenile. So that's a baby.
That's a fucking...
So we actually don't know how big they'll get or where they go. I don't know why we've only seen baby ones, but it could be a little baby Cthulhu, just to bring it full circle.
Fucking... Wait a minute. So, like, that's probably why the ocean's so dark, man, because it's not because light isn't penetrating it. It's because that's a fucking squid's head that's probably blocking it out.
Yeah.
My God,
Yeah,
that is
it's
actually terrifying to think.
It is scary. But look them up if you haven't seen them. Big Fin Squid is what they're called.
Yeah.
Just beyond the realms of human imagination.
Yeah. Like, if you showed me a picture of that without any context, I would think one or two things. That's an alien sighting, or I would think that is an actual fictional character from a sci-fi movie.
For sure. But a lot of like fish or whatever at the bottom of the ocean, it does look made up.
Yeah.
It's actually fascinating that things can survive down there under that pressure with no light. I guess not that much food.
Yeah.
Although I did read a statistic that scientists believe that the part of the ocean that we haven't explored has actually more biodiversity than the Amazon rainforest.
Oh.
They believe it's like so full of things that we just don't know, like living things.
So if you could catch like a fish down there to eat it and bring it back, it would be like the tastiest fish you'd ever try?
I think I've told you this before, but the lower down in the ocean the fish is, the fishier smell it has to do with whatever chemicals are released. So I actually don't know if that would be true. It would be a very fishy fish, if you know what I mean.
It's a very fishy fish, I do think.
You know, like some fish smell loads like fish.
Yeah.
I am describing this horribly.
No, this is perfect. Continue.
Like a salmon or something. It's like, it's not a very offensive fish smell.
Yeah.
But like a trout or a kipper or something.
An offensive fish smell.
Do you know what I mean?
No, I love
like
it.
Like the kind of thing you can't bring in. Not that you should anyway, ever, but the kind of fish you can't really bring in a Tupperware to work.
Right. Yeah, by the way, this is just to kind of say, on that note, if anybody listening to this podcast brings fish to work to eat with your colleagues, well, not like, they get a bite. I mean, they're around you whenever you're doing it. You're a fucking horrible person.
You're a bad person.
You are a bad person,
Don't do it. Even a tuna sandwich, you might think it's fairly harmless. It's not. Save it for your house.
Right? All you need to do, if you hate somebody and you really want them to never speak to you again, get a tuna sandwich and fucking cheese and onion crisps and eat them both.
Vile.
And then just fucking belch in their face.
Vile.
Yeah.
So, yeah, bottom of the ocean, very scary, very unknown.
Yeah.
And a lot of weird things down there.
Which is kind of strange because it could be the new home, I guess, of not only very bizarre and unknown fish, but maybe a few crew members as well from ships that are now empty and vacant.
Haunting.
It's very haunting. I like to get like more spooky towards the end of the podcast because then people are like, ooh, I got chills. Whereas they probably not. They're probably crying over the fucking, fish comment that I just made 2 minutes ago. And you should be.
Unpacking their lunch for tomorrow. Like, I can't bring it anymore.
Yeah, imagine you were listening to this while making lunch. Then you were like, you did have fish. You're like, gotta go back to the fridge.
Your husband's just put like a little fish supper in a box for you. Like, there you go, honey.
Yeah. It's like, get that out of there. Do you hear what they said in that GhostWaves podcast? Probably the best time to end that.
I think so. I am traumatized, more so than I was before. Never going on a boat ever again.
No.
Um,
Not like that Lonely Island song, I'm on a boat. It's going to be, I'm not on a boat.
Exactly.
Yeah, I assume. Jumping off the boat and jumping on to something a bit more comfortable, I guess, we are going to thank our Patreons this week. Is that a good segue?
Definitely.
Cool. Not a shipwreck of one?
I'll give you that. It's been a whole podcast and that's the first bad pun, so I'll let it slide.
There's been many, but there's been only one bad, so I'm happy with that. We are going to read off. First of all, I do want to say thank you very much if you've reached this part of the podcast. Hopefully you have enjoyed. If you have, please do hit the like. If you are watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe or comment.
Or both.
Or both, if you want to. That'll be
or all three, see what happens.
Then you unlock super spooky, I think. But yeah, please do give some feedback on this because, as I said, this is still new to us. So it's kind of like nice to know that we're going the right direction with this, unlike the ships in our stories this week.
You've just been holding them all in for the whole time, haven't you?
I think so. I'm just like kind of like puking puns now at the moment. But we're going to move on to the Patreons. For anybody who is not signed up to the Patreon and even is curious, it is $1.50 per month. And you get 4 extra Patreon episodes for that month. 4 for 4. It's pretty good. I think I did the math correctly there.
Depending if it's a 5-week month, but yeah, we'll let it slide.
We'll not get into that. But yeah, if anybody does want to sign up, we do have the link coming across the video now. And for anybody who does not know, it is in the link description if you are listening on any of our audio formats. On to the Patreons: Arlie Miramontes, X2 Shoes, Rebecca Mongold, Nora Jones, Thirsty Disment, Veronica Maynard, Samjam FX, She, Battle Meow, Tom Whitfield, Shannon, Houses1221, and Caleb. Folks, thank you so much for your Patreons. Every week we thank you, and every week we appreciate you.
Definitely.
Yeah. But for anybody who doesn't know, it is patreon.com/Ghost Arcade, and the O in the ghost is a 0 because I like to make things awkward. But that is us for this week. We are recording our Patreon episode after this, which we're going to go into a bit more of deep sea mysteries like the Bermuda Triangle.
Exactly.
It is going to be freaking weird, dude. Be there or be triangular. Huh? Nope.
Or if not, we'll see you next week.
We will. So until next week, I guess, stay spooky.
Stay safe. Look up horrifying ocean facts and stay away from the ocean. And I think that's all I have to say.
It's pretty good. Don't dive in to the ocean topics straight away, though, because you may be drowning in work.
Had to get those last 2 in there, didn't you?
I have more.
Let's cut now. See you next week.
See ya. Bye.